come to this moment.
Klein stressing from the start the battle was about keeping the crew right here in Columbus. Fans and the community playing a big part.
We stepped up. Our community stepped up. And here we are.
Major League Soccer also just unveiling an agreement with the locally based Haslam and Edwards families to operate the team. The Save the Crew organization releasing a statement saying in part, the history of the team is here. The future of the team is here. We will be massive for generations to come.
5 Sears locations in Ohio will be closing early next year, including 2 locations in Central Ohio. It was announced yesterday that Sears at Tuttle Mall and Polaris Fashion Place will be closing in March. In total, Sears will close 80 more stores next year. The announcement comes as the bankrupt retailer is looking for a bidder with the December 31st afternoon deadline fast approaching. Sears filed for bankruptcy on October 15th and was still operating under 700 stores. When the company filed for bankruptcy, they announced the closure of 142 unprofitable stores and then announced another 40 last month. Liquidation is expected to begin in 2 weeks. Staff at the Columbus Zoo believe a bacterial infection caused the death this week of their 3-week-old elephant, Ellie. The young calf died after showing signs of sluggishness and depression. An exam later discovered a portion of the animal's intestine was inflamed. The staff is still trying to determine the origin of the bacteria, testing the blood from the calf's mother to make sure she is okay. An animal health committee will review the elephant's death along with the deaths of 3 giraffes to see if there was anything else that could have been done to save those animals. Your ABC 6 first warning weather forecast today, cloudy and colder with a high of 40. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a low of 29. I'm Sean Gallagher. More news at the bottom of the hour and on demand at 610WTVN.com.
Good afternoon. Our traffic camera is showing us 2 accidents we've picked up. 270 northbound after I-670, and that they're blocking your right 2 lanes. Also an accident, Refugee Road at Gender Road. Not blocking currently, no delay for that. Be careful as you approach. Keep in mind there is an OSU men's basketball game today at Value City Arena. The Buckeyes take on High Point University. Tip-off is at noon today. And keep in mind the Conservatory, a glow holiday light display taking place, Franklin Park Conservatory at Botanical Gardens. Traffic flowing freely at this time.
Looking to buy a car? Online shopping can be confusing. Not anymore with True Price from TrueCar. Now you can know the exact price you'll pay for the car you want and see what other people paid for it too. When you're ready to buy a new or used car, visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience.
Bureaucrats from the Department of Health and Human Services are pushing a plan to rewrite Medicare Part B that puts the health care for America's sickest seniors in serious jeopardy. The HHS plan, pulled from the Bernie Sanders healthcare playbook, would change Medicare to be more like socialized healthcare schemes in Europe, with government price fixing and access restrictions. If Congress doesn't block this dangerous plan, seniors' access to new treatments would be reduced, the search for new cures would be delayed, and American medical innovation would stall. Conservatives and seniors know that Congressman Jim Jordan will fight for free market solutions. Call Congressman Jordan today at 202-224-3121. Urge him to fight to reject price fixing in Medicare Part B. Learn more at rejectpricecontrols.org. Paid for by the American Conservative Union.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon, and welcome to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my father, Phil. Guys, our last show of the year. What a year it has been. A year. We've hit the 200th show this year. All kinds of ups and downs in the firearm industry this year, and you will not want to miss the show today because, just like the year, what we're about to tell you is going to send a mini shockwave through Ohio.
It will.
Yes, it is. It's something we've been anticipating, and it's just there is something we're going to talk about today that is not talked about yet, but you're going to hear it first right here. So good to see you guys. Everything going good? Good Christmas?
It's good. Christmas is good. So,
Papa?
Everything. Thumbs up all the way around.
Thumbs up.
All right, all right.
As one of my customers said, I didn't wake up with a toe tag this morning, so.
Yeah, always good.
There you go.
Always good.
Yeah, I'll get you a toe tag next Christmas, okay? So there you go.
No, that's all right.
We are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active law enforcement, but for 1 hour on Saturdays We put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and all too often political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our customers and our listeners with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. So, guys, so Santa treated everyone good, right? Yeah. And Paul, I know with Santa is still he's making a second pass here soon.
Whenever.
Okay, all right. Well, today, guys, we're going to go in-depth on some of the biggest news for firearm owners in Ohio that just happened this past week. House Bill 228 was passed, thankfully, overriding the governor's veto, and has not only put Ohio back in line with the rest of the country in many regards, it has strengthened the rights of gun owners across the state as well. But we just found out last night that there is an issue that was discovered that is going to have some impact on the bill as it goes into law. And we've invited our good friend, Attorney Derek DeBross, the gun attorney here in Columbus, to sit with us today and help explain that. We're going to get to that early on, though, probably about 1:20. We're going to get right into that. Before that, JC is going to jump in with a gun of the week that is super cool. Actually, one that a customer brought in. He's actually in the studio audience.
Yes.
And he's probably there to make sure we don't do anything to it.
We don't abuse his fine firearm.
That's right. So JC is going to have the gun of the week here shortly, and it is. You know what I like? I'm as excited about the box as the
me
gun.
Too. That's
you know,
I was really looking at.
Wait, Eric.
I
thought
this old stuff.
I thought Ronnie had the gun of the week.
Well, we switched it up this week. So
really?
Ronnie's coming back next week with the gun of the week.
Whatever happened to letting everybody know on around the table about what is the gun of the week so that we can do show prep?
Yeah, there's no challenge to that. You have to be able to just.
We want to see your visceral response to it. So.
And this one, you probably have no issues.
I have I have no issues with it, but I just don't know what it is. That's the thing.
You don't know what that is?
I can't see it from here.
Oh.
This is the first time I've seen it.
Oh. There it is. If you're watching on Facebook, you're getting a good shot of JC's gun of the week. We'd like to take time to thank our sponsors at this point. Rampart Hosting, Toyota West, Jackson Lawn Care and Egress Windows, The Trigger Group, our good friends at Blackwing Shooting Center, River's Edge Cutlery. Yeah, you got to stop by and see those guys in Hilliard. I know I stopped by there a few times this holiday season. CNS Engraving and LEPD Training Facility. Joining me today in the LEPD studios, JC from the sales team. Did you get anything exciting for Christmas other than the flashlight from us?
The flashlight was really exciting, but what was exciting for me is I actually got to spend it with my bride and to have both kids there at the same time with their new boyfriend girlfriend kind of combos. That was Christmas for me. So that's actually my wife and I didn't even exchange presents until a few days afterwards. So it was just great to see him. Ate too much as usual, but there you go. So it was great.
Good. Ronnie from Boom Boom Tactical sits to my right. Ronnie, I know we talked about this last week, and I don't want to harp on it, but it is a safety concern. We talked last week about some bad batches of Top Shot ammo that are out there. We've seen 4 customers here, 3 of which had the guns blow up on our range. The barrels blow out, the receivers blow apart. One came in and told us after the fact, but it did not happen here. We had a couple of customers this week come in with that ammo as well, and we advised them that you really need to reach out to the manufacturer and see if your lot falls within the lots that they're seeing issues with, because it is something you don't want to have happen to your gun. These squib loads can be deadly. So definitely, if you have Top Shot ammo, specifically 9mm Top Shot ammo, reach out to the manufacturer. Make sure that your lot is not one that's included that they're having issues with.
Absolutely.
So,
Nobody got hurt.
So they actually fessed up and said that we're having an issue with a specific lot?
No. Well, I don't know.
I was going to say.
We haven't been in touch with them for some time, but I'm just saying that customers are still coming in with it, so it's still being sold. Just from a safety standpoint, you do not want to put your life in jeopardy by having that and stuff. And John, you said it last week, squib loads seem to be the issue. I mean, as long as you don't rapid fire and you pay attention to
squib loads less than normal pressure, and a bullet can become lodged with like a cork in the barrel, and your next shot does not push it out. All that pressure goes instantly, and it oftentimes blows the gun up. So
right
there you go.
My father, co-owner, sits to my far left. Looking forward to our Christmas tomorrow, Papa.
Is it tomorrow?
I think so.
Okay,
yes.
It's been off and on so many times. I don't
know. Well, we've been so busy here. there. It's been hard to break away. So that's a good thing. Sitting to my immediate left. If you don't recognize him out there, he is one of the premier gun attorneys here in Central Ohio. Good friend of ours, too.
I thought he was the Irish Santa Claus. Look at that beautiful red beard he's got there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Derek DeBross sits here with us and is going to shed some light on some things here shortly. If you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast. That's at 610WTVN.com on iHeartRadio. We're also on iTunes, and my personal favorite, I love going to the Google Podcast. As soon as you pull it up, we're right there. Just put in OnTarget, and you can see all of the past shows. Facebook as well is a great place to watch us if you want to see ahead of time the gun of the week, or if you want to see what the guys are doing. Sometimes it's fun to watch in between commercials. That's Facebook, and it's out there on our Facebook page afterwards as well. Jumping in on the conversation, super easy, 614-821-9886, and you can do that at any time. JC, let's go and mix it up and do the gun of the week.
All right, we'll do the gun of the week. And then Ronnie we switch and he'll do it next week. This is a beautiful gun that one of our customers brought in, and I wish it was for sale because I would like to own this. This is a Harrington & Richardson's Sportsman, which is also referred to as a Sportsman 999. Harrington & Richardson just itself, it's an old company. It was founded in 1871 by Gilbert Harrison and his uncle, Frank Wesson. And this is of the Smith & Wesson
Really?
family.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they got together and came up with this company, and they made low cost but really high quality firearms, and they added a partner named Richardson, so it became Harrington & Richardson. Seemed to be the way to go. Well-made guns, and in 1932 they came out with this model. Now, I think what was happening in the country in 1932, the Depression was just hitting, so here they are with a new gun model, and this was kind of their flagship model of their line. It's a 22 long rifle, although they also had it in 22 Magnum for the first several years. It is absolutely beautiful. You had barrel lengths of either 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, and 6 inches long. It is what makes it unique is the fact that it is a break open. So you pull up on the rear sight, gently lift it, and the barrel tips down, and the cylinder has automatic ejectors, and it doesn't hold 6 rounds like a 6-shooter. In 1932, this had 9 shots. So you had a 9-shot revolver that automatically extracts and ejects, just lifting up the sight and pulling down the barrel. It's a double action revolver, pretty heavy on the double action part, but it's just a utilitarian, sturdy, locomotive kind of build to it. Really a great popularity. This one has the one-piece walnut grips to it. After the war, they went to a 2-piece one. So if you see these and you go, hey, that looks kind of like you're talking about, but the 2-piece ones were after World War II. This one is kind of interesting, and the Collectors Association said that the serial number, this was made in 1943, but the owner says that they said it was made in 1946. So I thought, hey, maybe they did stop production during the war and just resume it right after the war. But it is an early model. The bluing is great. This one has a 6-inch barrel. And again, it's called the H&R Sportsman. The model is 999. 9 shots, beautiful, accurate, and wonderful, wonderful guns. They stopped making them in 1986 when H&R folded. It was purchased by New England Firearms and then kind of resurrected as H&R 1871 LLC. And from 1991 to 99, they did resume production of this. In the last 3 years, they actually incorporated that transfer safety bar so you could carry it, loaded, hammered down, and not have to worry about any accidental discharges. But the gun is beautiful, and like you said, what's even more interesting, I mean, to me, or as interesting, is he has the original box, and I just love the old boxes, and as you can imagine, being around for that length of time, it shows some wear, but it is beautiful, and it's a wonderful, wonderful firearm.
Just don't let my dog get the box. He likes to chew on that stuff.
Get the box. No.
Really like this 2-tone microfiber cloth.
Yeah, that's really good. So it belongs to Zane is sitting here, and it is it's his. He's careful eye on this, but we're treating it wonderfully. So,
you guys would like to know that my very first revolver was an H&R. Very first.
Was it the
32 caliber?
There you go, like the little snub nose. Yeah,
little snub nose.
Those were always solid.
Yeah. In fact, we took one in on trade, and it looked identical to what I had, years ago, and I wanted to get it. And
You know, I think one of my early ones that we purchased at a gun show was the same thing. I mean, they were inexpensive. They still are. They still are about $100, and
They're
solid.
pretty easy to fix too. I just had one in this week that
really?
I repaired the ejector on.
Yeah. The original price was $32 on it. They did stop if you find a 22 Magnum, they're rare. They stopped those in 39. So only
you know what? I'm gonna offer twice that. I'm gonna double his money.
So there you go. Yeah, we'll offer him 3 times that. There you go. $96 and it's out the door. Huh?
Well, thanks to Zane, one of our good customers and our listeners, who's sitting right here with us for that gun of the week. We also had another customer this week stop in and make a suggestion for the gun of the week, so that is going to come up in a few weeks as well. We're going to jump to break. When we come back, we're going to get in depth with House Bill 228 and what it means to firearms owners throughout Ohio. And we have our special guest, Derek DeBross, on with us today, too. We are broadcasting live from LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. We'll be right back after the break.
April. Trade war. Why in China? 2018. North Korea. It looks like it could happen.
Mark Zuckerberg.
It was my mistake.
A chemical attack in Syria.
Paul Ryan. I will be retiring in
James Comey.
I gave that unclassified.
He's a leaker.
Mike Pompeo is confirmed. Bill Cosby. Justice was done. 2019. The law of wrong prince happens here. The passing of my mom.
Barbara Bush. No fear of death.
News Radio 610 WTVN.
Hi, we're the Gore family, owners of Blackwing. That's right, Blackwing is family owned and operated.
But Rex, what does that mean to our guests?
It means we're flexible. We listen and adjust to the needs of our guests.
Mark, what else does that mean?
It means their hard-earned money stays right here in their community because we support many local non-profit organizations and businesses.
Why? Because we care about you and our community.
Let us take you under our wing because that's what family is for.
Isn't it time to visit the family? We'll see you soon at Blackwing.
If you're in the market for
what kind of
kitchen knives, tactical blades,
44.
44.
So they say. I'm not sure if I buy it.
It don't look like that.
No, it doesn't. But that's what I'm showing. So.
All right.
Made and much more. Their one-on-one service and commitment to helping you find the right knife for your needs is unsurpassed. Stop by and see your friends at River's Edge Cutlery. That's riversedgecutlery.com. Recommended by LEPD Firearms.
It's the biggest music festival of the year, and it's coming to the CW.
The iHeartRadio Music Festival.
Don't miss the iconic performances.
Justin Timberlake.
Mariah Carey.
We've got Fleetwood Mac here.
You've been incredible, and I've been Jack White.
Powerful moments.
Tonight, we are all proud to be Vegas Strong.
Love this city. Love everything it stands for.
Plus, some special surprises you are not going to want to miss.
Your ABC6 first warning weather for today: cloudy and dry and cooler. It's going to be a high of only 40. For tonight, mostly cloudy and cold, low of 29. Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds, dry and chilly, still though a high of 42. Currently 44 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Traffic and weather every 10 minutes on the 10s, mornings and afternoons. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Welcome back to Scott's playlist. Scott, a good choice of songs there. Scott's Journey, right, guys?
Was that Air Supply? Wasn't Air Supply?
Journey.
No,
Journey. Don't Stop Believing. Classic.
Wasn't Neil Diamond then? Okay.
What? Welcome back to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. Broadcasting right here from 999 Bethel Road. If you're in the area, stop by, check us out, see us. If not, give us a call, 614-821-WTVN. And if you're out there on Facebook, you can see us live. And if you're watching on Facebook, you're seeing a guest with us today, Derek DeBross, one of the premier gun attorneys here in Central Ohio with Munitions Law Group. That's munitionsgroup.com. I get that right, Derek?
That's right.
All right. And we have brought him in today because after much discussion, I mean, this whole year it seems like we've been talking about this House Bill 228, which was passed by the House and Senate earlier this month and then vetoed by the governor and then overridden this last week, becoming law in 90 days. We want to get more in depth with that because there's been a lot of questions. There's been some provisions of this law that aren't necessarily, they're not as obvious as others, so we wanted to talk about those. And then we also we wanted to talk about something that we discovered last night that you're sure to hear. We want to jump right to that because that's something that's going to affect people, and I know we've already had calls about it. Actually, this whole last week, people wanting this.
The main thing I was looking forward to out of the bill. The other stuff is great, but this one was really exciting for me.
So let's cut to the chase because we've been teasing it for the last day. We found out late last night that a significant part of the bill is actually not going to go into effect as anticipated due to a clerical error. This part would have brought Ohio in line with the rest of the country and allowing a popular line of shotguns to be sold right here in the state. You might have heard these before. They're commonly referred to as the Remington TAC-13 or TAC-14.
TAC-14, yeah.
The Mossberg Shockwaves, and these lines of shotguns have a short barrel and a short pistol-like grip, but they're extremely popular for self-defense across the country, and they have been for about a year now. But due to Ohio law, there was a definition, or by definition, it put these in the sawed-off shotgun definition. And a sawed-off shotgun in Ohio is considered a dangerous ordinance.
Right, same as a machine gun or grenade or anything like that.
But in this case, you could own them if you had a letter from the chief law enforcement officer in your area, but very few probably went to that extreme to own it. So this bill, House Bill 228, it was set out amongst other things to correct that language, and it started to. And it did so by changing or updating, really, the definition for sawed-off shotgun, and it no longer includes the Shockwave line of shotguns in that definition. So inadvertently, it is no longer considered a dangerous ordinance. So we were good so far.
So far.
Until you get to the definition section of the bill. In the definition section, they chose to further simplify or further talk about that they didn't want this language to be considered a dangerous ordinance. And in many of the revisions, if you go out there and see it, it specifically states that, a dangerous ordinance is not, and then it lists language that would, include the shockwave. And the final revision, that inadvertently got put into the part that says a dangerous ordinance is.
And right next to each other. It's in Section 2923.11 of the Ohio Revised Code. And on that section under K, it talks about these are dangerous ordinance, except where you see L. And L are ones that are not considered dangerous ordinance. And it was number 7 in the L. And unfortunately, when it got printed out, they moved the number 7 into the K definition of dangerous ordinance. And there we go. We're right back to square one, where now, when the law goes into effect, that's what will be considered.
Derek, talk about that.
So a couple of points of clarification. You said it brings Ohio in line with the rest of the United States. That's not true. Not every state.
Many of them.
Definitely not all of them. Additionally, dangerous ordinance, it's not illegal to possess as long as you have the proper license in Ohio, which you can get from your sheriff on a BSSA-1 form, which I've been able to obtain for clients in the past. But no one really knows about that, and a lot of sheriffs won't give them. So the way dangerous ordinance works in Ohio, generally speaking, we start with the premise that it's illegal to possess unless you have a license. Now, the shockwave, we'll just go with that term, just to simplify this, was always considered a sawed-off firearm, which is included in the definition of dangerous ordinance, and it's like that today. Under federal law, it's not considered a regulated item under the National Firearms Act. We can get into that another time. It's more of a nuanced discussion. So it was legal to own under federal law, but not legal to own under state law. So they moved, the General Assembly moved to change that. And in one of the early versions of the House bill, you can see that they basically took the shockwave out of the definition of sawed-off firearm, and then to further really push it forward, in Section L of 2923.11, it actually says these things are not dangerous ordinance, and it further clarified that the shockwave was not dangerous ordinance. And then as enacted, as it presently stands, like the 9th revision of the bill, it's our belief that the Legislative Service Commission accidentally took it from that section and bumped it up to the K section right above it, which defines what is dangerous ordinance. So no longer is a shockwave in Ohio considered a sawed-off firearm, but in and of itself, it's still considered dangerous ordinance.
Just by merely where they put the definition.
Right. Now, there is some theory out there that if you read actually the language, and it says dangerous ordinance includes the following, and it includes that definition, which reads, any firearm with an overall length of at least 26 inches, the shockwave is 26.3 inches, I believe, somewhere around there, that is approved for sale by the the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, so the BATFE, under the Gun Control Act of '68, that is found by the Bureau not to be regulated in the National Firearms Act. A lot of people are out there discussing that, this might, make a lot of firearms illegal, or make them a lot of them different dangerous ordinance. But if you still look in L, we still have the exception that any pistol, rifle, or shotgun designed or suitable for sporting purposes is not dangerous ordinance. So I don't think there's any fear that you're going to be arrested for having a regular hunting rifle, that they're going to consider it dangerous ordinance or anything like that. And the information I'm getting is that they're going to push this forward very quickly to change it in the new leadership after January.
Do you think that they might try and throw in the stand your ground since Kasich's no longer going to be the governor?
Who knows? Depends on how our new governor wants to interact with the gun community, I think. Politics comes into play. I think the easiest and simplest thing to do is just have a standalone bill because it's a clerical error. You throw in stand your ground, you're getting into a lot of back and forth, give and take. Politics gets into play, and it could die as it did before. Stand your ground got stripped from this bill.
So the bottom line is, for those of us who were waiting anxiously for the Shockwave line, the Mossberg TAC 13s, TAC 14s, you're going to have to continue to wait a little bit. It is not going to be free to purchase in Ohio in 90 days like we thought when this veto or the override to the veto happened.
That's correct.
So it's just the wait is going to be a little bit longer. It's not it's not that it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen right now.
Well, there's no guarantee that it'll happen.
True.
True.
Politics. That is
it's
true.
Ohio politics.
That is true.
And what you were saying, though, Derek, is if it doesn't happen, it still could
illegal.
be possible if
you
we
can get a
had
license.
the VSSA-1 form.
VSSA-1 form. You can own it. You have to get that license from the county sheriff. Or I think also chief of police or public safety officer in your community can sign that. And I think a copy needs to go to the fire marshal in that county or something of that nature. It's been a long time since I filled one out.
The irony of it is, these are really neat firearms. Great for self-defense. They're really no different in overall length than the pistol grip shotguns that we saw today. It just happens to be the barrels on these are shorter.
That's right.
And so it falls
14 inches, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
So they look neat. They great for self-defense. And we'll get there, but just not yet.
Well, I'll tell you, the gun community is not going to let it go. That's definitely not going to happen. But it's unfortunate. We thought we got what we needed, and after it's law. You can't just change that.
So what do they have to do to if you say it's just a clerical error and it's just a question of changing that, how does that go about?
Well, they just have to propose a bill that's just going to amend 292311, then remove it from K and drop it into L, really.
Oh, okay.
It's as simple as that.
Okay.
That's all they really need to do.
And hopefully maybe they can do that with quickly and without adding a lot of things to it.
That's the goal.
So,
that's the goal.
Yeah, and you know what? Last week we were concerned that there wasn't even a chance that they were going to override the veto.
We were so
I applaud the senators who came back, holidays and so forth,
thank you.
and got this through.
The
So that
efforts
is
of all the folks, the Buckeye Firearms, all the people that were pushing this. But like you said, if only one senator who voted yes didn't show up to vote, it wouldn't have passed at all.
Right.
So hats off to our legislators.
When we come back from the news, House Bill 228, there's a lot of good things in it that's going to happen in 90 days. If you're watching on Facebook, thanks to Ronnie who fixed our sound this week. Woohoo! We'll be back right after the bottom of the hour news. This is Eric with LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. If you're a business owner in need of a personalized gift for your employees this season, CNS Engraving is one-stop shopping for all your engraving needs. From promotional items to customized products to unique OSU licensed gifts, the quality of work from CNS is simply the best in Central Ohio. Want to make your firearm unique, or do you need an NFA item engraved? Do what we do and call our good friends at CNS Engraving, 614-929-2726. Come see their work at LEPD or stop by their storefront in Powell.
Are you thinking about making your first firearm purchase or looking to add to your collection? Stop by and check out over 200 used firearms in stock at LEPD Firearms Range and Training Facility on Bethel Road. From modern pistols, old revolvers to classic rifles, you'll find a wide variety with inventory changing daily. Check out their current used inventory at lepd.com or stop by the store and experience the best holster selection in Central Ohio. Great deals are waiting for you at LEPD. 999 Bethel Road or on the web at lepd.com.
News, traffic, and weather for Columbus. News Radio 610 WTVN.
News Radio 610 WTVN. I'm Sean Gallagher. The man accused of killing his mother in Gahanna was arrested in California yesterday. 27-year-old Jeffrey Perry stabbed his 59-year-old mother to death just days before Christmas. His DNA was found at the crime scene. Police say he stole her 2005 black Jeep Grand Cherokee and took off, and was later arrested in Garden Grove, California. Perry was taken into police custody after they say he robbed a local Del Taco restaurant. Perry lived in California before he moved in with his mother and was estranged to his family and mother. The Blue Jackets' 5-game winning streak was snapped last night at Nationwide Arena by the Toronto Maple Leafs, who got 2 goals from John Tavares in a 4-2 win. Nick Foligno and Artemi Panarin had the goals for Columbus. The Jackets will host Ottawa on New Year's Eve at 7 o'clock. Your ABC 6 First Warning weather forecast today, cloudy and colder with a high of 40. Tonight, mostly cloudy and a low of 29. I'm Sean Gallagher for breaking news and weather alerts instantly. Follow us on Twitter at 610 WTVN News.
Jewelry lovers, DazzleMe.com knows you want to sparkle this holiday season. You might even be dropping a few hints as to what you'd like under the tree. Well, a treasure chest awaits you at DazzleMe.com, a new consignment jewelry site with unique styles of all the gemstones you love. Earrings, bracelets, rings, even watches. If you find something you like, add it to your wish list and share your finds with friends. New pieces arrive daily, so click often and don't miss out. This holiday, DazzleMe.com makes sparkling simple.
Long before online retailers started stuffing beds into boxes, the original Mattress Factory was shaking up the mattress industry. We raised the bar on quality with our hand-built, American-made mattresses and sold them factory direct for a fraction of the cost of the mainstream brands. In an industry full of gimmicks and sketchy sales tactics, the original Mattress Factory has stayed true to what we've always been. Great beds, no bull. Stop by an Original Mattress Factory store or visit originalmattress.com to see the OMF difference for yourself.
Winning Retirement Radio, Sundays at 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. on 610 WTVN.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target, the last show of the year, guys. I remind you, so I hope you're on top of your game. Yeah. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. That's right inside the store here at 999 Bethel Road. If you're in the area, driving by, stop by and see us. You can watch the show live. You can also watch it live on Facebook. So hi to the people out there. With sound this week.
With sound, yeah.
Always a benefit. If you miss it, the podcast is the way to go out there on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and iHeartMedia. We're talking House Bill 228. It's long-anticipated bill to clean up a lot of little things in Ohio for firearms owners and concealed carry holders in Ohio. We talked about the Shockwave line of firearms. Unfortunately, that is not going to happen here in 90 days like we expected due to a clerical error. But hopefully we will get that here shortly into 2019. Some of the other things that 228 has done, it has strengthened the preemption laws, which, on the heels of what we heard the mayor of Pittsburgh say last week, encouraging towns and municipalities to pass whatever the heck they wanted to and, let the NRA and all these entities try to fight it. Strengthening the preemption laws, which states that a municipality or city can't preempt the state laws, is certainly a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. And if they don't prevail, they gotta pay for it. So it comes right out of them. So if they do this kind of stuff, then they're going to come out.
So Derek, how does that? is there a real sense that this has indeed strengthened that?
It absolutely has. I filed numerous of these lawsuits over the years. Filed one against various cities, usually up north, believe it or not. But anyhow, what the problem we always saw is we would file the lawsuit. They clearly were in the wrong. They would have a law in the books that you had to get a license from the sheriff to sell a gun, for instance. Clearly in violation of 9.68. And so what they would do is we would sue them, and then they would rescind the law, right, by some sort of emergency action in the city council. And then they would say, too bad for you, you don't get your attorney's fees paid. And we're already $20,000, $30,000 deep in attorney's fees. And we have fought that and been, in the past, rejected out of the courts for saying that we were what the law said, a party that prevailed in a challenge. Now, the General Assembly wrote that language for a very, very specific reason, because anywhere else in the revised code where it talks about attorney's fees, and somebody who wins in a lawsuit, they'll call it a prevailing party, which is different than a party that prevails in a challenge. However, the courts disagreed with me on all those arguments. So what we did is we made it exceptionally clear that if we challenge you, even if a lawsuit's not filed and you change that law, we get the legal fees paid. Even if it's in the midst of litigation and we don't come to final trial resolution, we still get our fees paid. Additionally, what it did is it really clarified the breadth of the Second Amendment as it applies to Ohio citizens and what it protects: transfers, possession, ownership. It added in some additional words and made it a little bit broader as to what 9.6a actually covers that the cities cannot regulate outside of what the state does.
And that's good, Eric, because you see, maybe not for the larger cities like Columbus and Cincinnati and Cleveland, but certainly for these smaller municipalities, they're going to have to take a serious look when they put these laws into place, or if they attempt to, knowing that if it gets challenged and they lose, they are now responsible. Their taxpayers in that area are responsible for the attorney fees. And hopefully that's a deterrent. Hopefully that is significant enough that it's going to prevent some of these frivolous things that keep getting thrown out there.
Absolutely.
You would think so. I mean,
would hope so.
We went after Cleveland twice, and they knew it was coming. We told them, and they still did it. And then we sued them, we won. And they paid the legal fees.
Wow. So. Well, the cities, the citizens of Cleveland pay those fees.
Yep.
And that's the thing that's disheartening. A lot of times these cities, the citizens themselves don't necessarily want what's being enacted or what's being thrown upon them by city council or whoever it is, but they're the ones who end up paying.
The community on that side of this debate, they just thumb their nose at the law. I mean, you see it all in a variety of different areas. I mean, you saw the mayor of Oakland tell her citizens that, hey, ICE is going to be doing a huge raid, and
right.
Basically just thumb their nose at the rule of law, just like the cities do on these issues. It's just that side of the debates, they just don't care. That's what they do.
Right, and they almost encourage it. I mean, we saw, not to get off topic, but we yesterday it came out, actually a couple of days ago, that officer who was shot and killed in California, 12-man department, a small department, officer shot and killed by an illegal person in the country illegally, who has previously been detained, is a known gang member, but because of California sanctuary city laws, they won't call ICE to come pick up the person and look what the result is. So I hope they hold people responsible. I know they won't, but you just hope they do in cases like that. So that's good, Derek. So preemption, a good strength there.
Yep.
One of the things that did get in, I know there's been a lot of discussion on the topic, and there's someone who asked a question on Facebook here recently about stand your ground versus changing the burden of proof. If you're just joining in, we're on with Derek DeBras talking about House Bill 228, what that means to Ohioans here in the next 90 days. If you want to jump in, 614-821-9886.
So stand your ground?
Stand your ground and the burden of proof.
So stand your ground got removed from the bill. Stand your ground, what it is, essentially a common law, its basic form, is that your third element in Ohio that you must prove currently as the law stands is that you did not violate a duty to retreat, meaning if you can run away safely, you have to run away, and I'm paraphrasing that. If you have an avenue to retreat, you must do so, or at least voice your intent to retreat. That's automatically met in stand your ground states. You don't have to retreat, you can stand your ground. To give you a good example, the Trayvon Martin case was a good example of that. In the George Zimmerman case, it was not a stand your ground case, and Florida has stand your ground law. It was not a stand your ground case because Mr. Zimmerman could not run away. He had his back on the ground, his head was getting smashed into the curb. There was no way for him to retreat. That was just a strict self-defense case. The burden of proof change that did get kept in the bill is very good, and I think people overlook it because they don't maybe understand it. The way the law currently works is in Ohio, we are considered what's known as the Ohio exception. That's the term that my good friend Andrew Bronca uses. He's an expert in self-defense law. And what that basically means is that in Ohio, the burden of persuasion is on the defendant, as well as the burden of production. So the burden of production means that the record has to show some sort of evidence that self-defense exists, right? Either the record can show that, or I, as the defendant, can testify that I thought my life was in danger and I exercised my right to defend my life. And that's a very, very low bar, very low standard, basically what a lot of courts call a scintilla of evidence that has to exist. And then once you get beyond that, then in Ohio, the burden remains on the accused to persuade through proving these elements to what we call preponderance of the evidence. So we have to prove our innocence in Ohio. We're the only state that does that. In 90 days, roughly, that's going to change. The burden of production will remain the same, However, once that burden of production is met, which is oftentimes very easy to do most every time, then the burden of persuasion is now on the government to disprove it beyond a reasonable doubt that I did not act in self-defense. So that's
how it should be. I mean,
in my opinion, is how it should be.
Well, I mean, how it has been. You know, John, you've talked about this and been a champion of this for.
They've been trying to do this for a long time. The only state in the union. I mean, you're guilty, kind of, and have to prove your own innocence, and it just isn't right. It's not a,
So that is a great thing, and we applaud the legislatures for that. And not quite sure, you know, why the current governor wasn't on board with that. Maybe it was other things in the legislation, but it's through. In 90 days, it's going to be law here in Ohio. Thank goodness. So other things that the House Bill 228 has done, strengthened the straw purchasing, the power for Ohio law enforcement to act on straw purchases. And straw purchases are those, you want to say it, JC?
Yeah, well, actually, our good counselor should do this, but basically a straw purchase is when somebody else purchases a gun for another person. They say, I'm purchasing this myself, and really they're doing it for someone else. And oftentimes they know that person, the reason they're doing it is that they know that person cannot pass the National Instant Criminal Background Check system. And that's what happened, unfortunately, with the officers that we had that were killed in Westerville. Is that the guy got his gun from a neighbor who knew the guy couldn't have it. He went and bought it for him, gave it to him, and that is a straw purchase.
Right, and it happens. I mean, it happens significantly, I would say.
Happens all the time.
And the problem is, and we've seen it here too, is to this point, it's really being enforced at the federal level. So, you know, not as many law enforcement officers out there at that level, and so it's tough to enforce that. And you know, at that level, this helps bring that down to the local level.
Yeah, you and I have had discussions about this many times, and there was never a direct law on that issue. So it basically takes crimes like that, it codifies it, and makes it clear that prosecutors have the ability to prosecute those cases at the state level now.
Right. Do you know what that is? Is that a felony? Do we know? I didn't
pick up
check,
on that. To be quite frank, I'm going to guess it's a felony, but I didn't check, so don't quote me on that.
So that's good, though. I mean, that's so for us as owners of the store, if we suspect that, you know, and we say, you know, you, as we're looking across the counter, you need to make sure this is for you, right? Because that's a felony otherwise.
Now, that only applies to someone who knowingly buys a firearm for someone who they know cannot pass the background check.
Well, that's a good question. Derek, do you know, because that is a good question. I thought by the letter of the law it was if you knowingly, if you know that the person is a prohibited you know, it's prohibited from owning a firearm. Simply buying it as a gift is not illegal, but if you does it have to have the element that person that you're giving it to is not or is a prohibited user?
So first thing, it is a felony third degree. So it's up to 5
years. Oh, it is a felony third degree.
Basically, when I'm doing my quick reading here, it looks like it's up, which is punishable up to 5 years in state prison. So your question is if I buy a gift for my neighbor, a true gift, which is completely legal. I use my money to buy it, and I wrap it up in a present and give it to him. But it turns out he's a felon. There would be what we call a mens rea element to that, I believe, and I haven't double-checked the law. I don't think it's strict liability, but you would have to have some sort of knowingly or intentional criminal intent that would have to exist. But
So how about the circumstance, you know, someone says, hey, you know, go buy this firearm for me. Not necessarily a gift, but that person, they send somebody else in to purchase it. The person may or may not be a prohibited owner. So is that in and of itself the straw purchase, or is it only when the person that it ultimately ends up in the hands of is a prohibited person?
So the prohibited person has nothing to do with straw purchasing.
Okay.
That's not. There was a case that went all the way to the Supreme Court where a law enforcement officer, much like yourself, can get blue label discounts.
Right.
So his brother or dad or somebody said, hey, I want that discount. Go buy me the gun. Here's my money. He did it, and he was prosecuted and convicted for that. Because it was a straw purchase. Because it wasn't for him. It was for his dad or whoever, and it was his dad's money. That is a straw purchase because the background check was not run on his dad. It was run on him. Now, if the son used his own money and bought the gun and then gifted it to him, a true gift, a bona fide gift, that would not have been illegal.
So if you hypothetically, if you bought a firearm today and you gifted it to a friend like me and stuff, that would be something that's on the up and up, and really a lot of people would like that. I would.
Yeah, and if you look on the 4473, which is the ATF form that you fill when you purchase a gun, it talks about gifts on there. Gifts are fine. It's got to be a bona fide gift, though.
Now, what we do here in the store a lot is that if a person comes in and wants to do that, instead of actually them purchasing the firearm, we'll let them purchase a gift card for the price of the firearm.
Right. Yeah.
Let that person come in, or the person that the firearm was going to.
Right.
Let them come in, make the purchase, and go through the
It's the safest way for everyone.
It's the safest way.
It is.
Yeah.
Sure. There's no reason to take a risk on that. So good information, Derek. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue our discussions with Derek DeBross, one of the premier gun attorneys here in Central Ohio. He's with Munitions Law Group. That's munitionsgroup.com. He can help you with any of your needs in regards to firearms and Second Amendment. If you want to jump in on the conversation, 614-821-WTVN is the number. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, this is Paul from OnTarget. Around the store, I'm known as a tough guy and the enforcer. I usually don't do commercials. However, when it comes to our new sponsor, Toyota West, I told Eric this is all mine. Since the late 1980s, I have been going to Toyota West for all of my new car and truck purchases. They are located at 270 in Georgesville Road. My main man there is Dean, who has been with the dealership over 13 years. That's got to say something for the caliber, excuse the pun, and experience you'll find at Toyota West. In the market for a new or used vehicle, don't screw up. Go visit Toyota West, tell them Paul sent you.
If you're looking to turn your basement into something beautiful by adding natural light, remember Jackson Egress Windows, locally owned and operated, and Angie's List Super Service Award winner. Jackson Egress Windows can change your dingy basement into something special that will add value to your home. Whether you're looking to add an extra bedroom or game room or just a place to hang out, call Jackson Egress Windows for an estimate today. 614-260-5130. See examples of their work at JacksonEgressWindows.com.
Here ABC 6 first warning weather for today: cloudy, dry, and colder. High of 40 degrees tonight, mostly cloudy and cold, low of 29. For Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds, dry and chilly, high of 42. It is currently 44 degrees on the Severe Weather Station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Keeping you connected to Columbus. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Welcome back to On Target. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. A little Survivor there, guys, huh? Survivor. Let me turn your mic on there, JC.
Yeah, there we go. Yes.
And we lost Pawpaw at that break, but not uncommon.
Not uncommon.
Don't worry.
He seems to wander off during the show.
Yeah, just like the dog. You never know when he's going to pop back up, pop back in. We're talking to our good friend Derek DeBross, one of the premier gun attorneys here in Central Ohio. And we're talking about House Bill 228 that just got passed, actually veto overridden, and it's going to go into effect in 90 days. Some of the big highlights of that is it strengthens the Ohio preemption laws, changes the burden of proof if you ever have to use your firearm in a deadly force incident, which is a great thing. It also strengthens the local laws in regards to how local law enforcement can prosecute a straw purchase. Unfortunately, one of the intent here was fixing the language in the law that does not allow the common Remington TAC-14 shotguns, the Mossberg Shockwaves, to be sold in Ohio. The intent was there. The language was there. Due to a clerical error, it is not going to happen in 90 days like the rest of the bill. So we'll stand by on that. I'm sure we'll have more information in the next couple weeks.
Absolutely. We'll keep you updated.
It's sounding like they are committed to fixing that here early in 2019.
Great.
One of the things, too, that we picked up on the bill that has some it has a narrow focus, I guess, but it applies to law enforcement. Law enforcement, there's always been a little bit of a question if you're legally carrying off duty, you have a firearm that is one that you qualified with from your department allows you to carry off duty. Are entities allowed to not allow you to carry it on their premises? And there was some concern about that in some of the sports venues and places around town. It further clarifies that if you are in law enforcement and legally able to carry off-duty, granted by your department, and you've qualified with the firearm and so forth, and you have picture ID on you, that you are able to carry in these venues. Now, it also talks about a little bit of the liability in that as well, and I think it in order to ease the mind of some of these entities that maybe didn't want anyone carrying on their premise, it allows them. It says that if something were to happen and that officer did use his firearm in the course of being on their premise, that entity is not liable. So whatever the business is. So hopefully that helps ease the minds of those if they had any issues with that.
Yeah. I actually, kind of somewhat off topic, but I had a question for Derek that may be of interest to some folks. But I did a CCW class the other day, and we talked about how if if you're a tenant in some place, if that's your domicile and you have your concealed handgun license, the manager of the apartment complex or whatever cannot prevent you from having a handgun. One of the students raised his hand and says, I live off campus, but I live in a university-owned house, but it's 2 miles away from the campus. And he asked me, he said, so you think because that's my domicile that I, with my license, can stay there? And we kind of talked around just with some of the officers here, and everyone said, hey, ask the university. But I don't know. It's his domicile. It's where he lives, and so it's a legitimate question. A lot of universities around, and anyway, I didn't know how to answer that, so I was going to just see if Derek had an opinion.
It'd be a gut reaction. I was involved in litigation against Ohio State University, and they had some policies we believe violated 9.68. You cannot carry on a university property unless they permit it. That's clear under a change about a year ago or so. So if the university owns it and it's owned by the university, that argument could be made, but then you have a potential conflict in law that needs to be resolved, and I'd have to look at the case law on it and everything like that. My gut's telling me he's probably okay to carry it there, but I wouldn't say that for certain until I researched it.
And then we were just kicking around that you are allowed to drive on university property. So if you're traveling there and you can lock your firearm in your car and then attend classes. So I said, you have a parking lot there, right? And he said, yeah. I said, well, I guess if you
keep it in car,
parking on the property and locking it up in the back of your car, you may be a little safer. But I actually did not know. I was shooting from the hip there. So
I mean, there's all kinds of rules when it comes to these conflicts and how we interpret laws and how we construct them. A newer law generally is going to take precedent over an older law, or a narrow law will take precedence over a general law, things like that. So I'd have to, put that analysis together to really make a good legal analysis. But you are correct. The car wouldn't be an issue at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is ironic because from a safety standpoint, I mean, you don't want to, make a habit of leaving a firearm in a car overnight and.
Yeah, I agree. I was just a question that he asked, and I told him and I would try to research this. When I heard you were coming today, I thought perfect timing. So thank you. Appreciate it.
So, Derek, any other big legislation you see this week coming, next year coming down? Anything else big that you're hearing out there?
I don't hear anything right now. Obviously, stand your ground is still something on the gun owners' minds that they want to get past. I think that's probably their number one objective. I don't believe it was included in this bill, but the duty to notify, that kind of went away.
I saw that. Yeah.
That was getting a lot of traction for a while, then it kind of just disappeared on us. I think there was a lot of infighting amongst the gun community as to how to accomplish that. But hopefully we get that done. I just despise that law, the duty to notify. I think it's just
right. And explain that
absurd.
is. You got about a minute here.
You have a duty to promptly, whatever that means, notify when you're approached by when you're stopped, which is a legal term of art. When you're stopped by a law enforcement officer for a law enforcement purpose, you must notify that you're armed if you are armed. It applies only if you're armed. Problem with it, in certain circumstances, it could be a Fifth Amendment violation, right? If I am drunk in a car, that's illegal, right? It's a felony to be drunk in a car with a gun.
Right.
If I'm stopped and I notify, I've now given them evidence of that crime. If I don't notify, I've committed a different crime. Right. So it's in a rock and a hard place kind of situation. I just generally don't like that law. Any law that makes me see anything the law enforcement officer gives me pause, and it should give us all pause as citizens.
Right.
Last question, because I didn't review all this, 37 pages yet. Do you still have to have 2 pieces of ID after the 90 days or just one?
They changed that. That was redundant. The concealed handgun license itself is a government form of identification, so they struck out the additional
So you still have to carry your 2 for the next at least 90 days, but once this all goes into effect, you could just have to have your your CHL license with your picture. Okay.
Great.
That's a good thing.
Derek, thanks for spending the last hour with us. Happy New Year. And if they need to find you, it's munitionsgroup.com.
Yep, munitionsgroup.com.
Yep. And if certainly any questions you have with CHL, shell, with estate planning.
Firearms trust, that's another
Yep.
thing you do.
Firearms
that's,
trust,
really
right?
good.
Yep. And we have a YouTube channel. We've crossed over 32,000 subscribers. So we're going to keep releasing more and more data that explains a lot of these laws. So.
Great. Guys, it's a wonderful year. Thanks for spending the last year with us.
It's been a good year.
We're not on until next year. So,
We'll see you
yeah.
guys till next year on this show. All right.
There you go. Ronnie, thanks for fixing our sound issues. It looks like everything was good. I probably should have brought you in that loop before an hour before the show. But thanks to everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. Have a safe January 1st, and we'll see you next year.
Happy New Year.
You've heard it before, end-of-the-year deal extravaganza. But really, it's please settle for our leftover cars before the new ones show up. At Dennis Hyundai, there's no need to settle. Choose your color, your upgrades, and your financing options, all with the Hyundai Assurance,
Everything good there?
America's best warranty, a 10-year, 100,000.
Give me 1 second.
All right.
Experience the future of car buying at Dennis.
All right, go for it.
Okay, here we go.
Designed 2019 Santa Fe at our Hyundai Holiday Sales Event at Dennis Hyundai.
This is Eric from OnTarget.
and in
Happy
Dublin.
New Year. It's a
Dennis
great
Hyundai.
time to stop by
Driving
LEPD
for
and watch the show live. This week, Ronnie has the Gun of the Week sponsored by Toyota West. Tune in Saturday at 1 p.m. or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road.
Universal Windows Direct. For every window you buy, you get the next free, no limits.
This is Eric from
0%
OnTarget. Happy New
financing
Year.
for
It was a
36
great time
months.
to
Some
stop by
restrictions
LEPD
apply.
and watch
And
the show
free
live.
installation.
This
And if
week,
that's
Ronnie
not
has the
enough,
Gun of the Week
a
sponsored
true
by Toyota
lifetime
West.
warranty
Tune
for
in
as
tomorrow
long
at
as
1
you own
p.m.
the home
or
and
live from
30 years
LEPD
to the
Studios
next
on Bethel
homeowner.
Road.
Call now at 614-221-0700 or go to universalwindowsdirect.com. And like me, you'll
This
be
is Eric from
saying,
OnTarget. Happy
"Love
New
my
Year.
windows."
It's a great time to stop by LEPD and watch the show live. This week, Ronnie has the Gun of the Week sponsored by Toyota West. Tune in today at 1 p.m. or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel
I'm a
Road.
banana slug, Steven.
Well, what are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. Don't you remember?
All right, buddy, looks good.
All right, sir. Thank you. Good song
All
choices.
your friends in
Yeah, I figured I'd go a little bit safer this week as far as what people would know.
I tell you what, I have a list of stuff for. I'm always listening to stuff in my car. I have a list of stuff for next year. We'll have to conspire
the forest is
on.
not that far away. Have an adventure
You know what? I
today.
might surprise you. We just might do a whole show of
You're
songs.
right. I should get out. I want to have fun.
That's cool. It's just nothing but like a countdown.
There you go. Countdown. Yes. Scott and Eric's.
What is that in your hand?
All right,
It's my
sir.
sense
Happy
of
New Year.
adventure, Mom.
Thank you.
It's telling me
Yeah, same to you, buddy.
All
Be
right,
safe
bye.
out there. Thanks. Bye.
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you live.